Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to take you along as I preserve a little bit out of our garden. I am so excited to be getting cabbage finally to make some sauerkraut because we sorely miss it when we don't have it. And I'm going to be making some bread and butter pickles today. So grab a coffee or tea and let's have a little visit in the kitchen today. So sauerkraut is one of the easiest ferments that you can do. It's literally just cabbage and salt. You don't even have to add water. It will make its own water after you soak it in the salt. This was a beautiful head of cabbage that Casey brought in yesterday, and I'm really excited because I know it's going to make a good jar of sauerkraut. Now, what I like to do is cut it by hand. Some people like to shred it on a box grater or put it through the food processor, but I like it just a little more crunchy, and so I like to slice it up by hand to get the size that I would like. But you just slice it up and put it in a bowl, and then I like to put a tablespoon of salt for each large head of cabbage. And kind of mix it in with my hands. And what happens is if you let that sit for a while, I probably let this sit for about 20 minutes or so, maybe a little bit more. And when you come back, the cabbage has started to sweat and water is starting to come out of it. And you end up with a really kind of softer cabbage. You can already tell the texture is changing. And that's when you want to put it in your jar. And I like to use a wide mouth quart mason jar to put my sauerkraut in. So now I'm going to take care of these cucumbers. My husband and I both, we love bread and butter pickles. I like dill pickles, but 10 to 1, I will choose bread and butter pickles over dill pickles any day of the week. So that's what we always put up. Last year, our cucumbers didn't do anything. I was going to say they didn't do well. They didn't do anything. We didn't get any cucumbers last year. And so this year they're coming in really well. And so I'm doing my first batch. And actually, I think it was a couple of days after this, I made some sweet relish with some more. And so I am busy in the kitchen working these up. Now, to make the bread and butter pickles, you put the cucumbers and the onions together in a big bowl, and you want to cover them with ice water for like 3 hours. And in the meantime, I just do other chores and then just come back to it like after lunch, and that way they're good to go. But I just let them soak. And the salt, I forgot, you're going to put like a 1/4 cup of salt in there. Now once 3 hours pass, you strain them and then rinse them with some filtered water just to kind of rinse off a little bit of that saltiness. And then I'm going to make my brine. The brine is simple. It's apple cider vinegar, sugar, mustard seed, celery seed, black peppercorns and turmeric, and I think I said sugar. If I said it twice, I'm sorry. And you just bring that up to a simmer, and then you put the cucumbers and onions in there and bring them up to a simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes. And in the meantime, I have my jars in the oven at 180 degrees to sterilize them. And in the little pot you can see in the background, there are lids that are in hot steaming water. The key with canning is making sure everything is hot and clean and sterile. And so that is why I have all that going. Now, this is the way my mom taught me to can, and it's the way that I'll always can, and it's safe, and it is an approved method. So I know a lot of people put their jars in hot water, and that works just as well, but I find it very convenient to just put them in the oven, and they're out of sight, out of mind until I need them. So I'm going to get this brine going, and now you're going to see in the foreground here, that is my steam canner. I use a Fruit Saver steam canner for water bath canning because I'm going to be honest with you, there is something that, I don't know what the word is. It's just inconvenient for me when I think about, okay, I've got to put like gallons of water in this huge pot, bring it up to a boil, and try to be careful putting my jars in there. And so I decided last year to get a steam canner, and let me tell you, if you are like me and it's not the most, the most easy thing to handle a water bath canner, you really need to look into getting a steam canner, because it takes 2.5 quarts of water, and that is it. It is lightweight, and it is an approved method of water bath canning. And so I am going to kind of show you how that works. So I'm going to get these cucumbers, onions, and brine up to a boil, and then I'm going to let that simmer for just a few minutes and fill up my jars. Now, the way I like to can is kind of have everything ready and do it kind of quickly, because I'm not really, I guess it's like an assembly line. I don't want to get halfway in and say, oops, I forgot this. I make sure everything is like 100% ready before I actually get a jar out of the oven. Now, you're going to see, I love a funnel. Now, I think most people use this when canning, but Casey was talking about, that is one of the most convenient things ever. I love a funnel, but sometimes if I have a wide mouth jar, it actually seems to get in the way. And so you'll see me sometimes remove it to finish filling up a jar. And so, but I have my funnel, I have my ladle, I have my jar grabber, I have my magnet to get my lids out, I got my rings to put on the lids, I have my steam canner is prepared, and this is how I like to can. I like to make sure that everything is laid out, ready to go, very clean, sterilized, and then I kind of go at it like an assembly line. Now I'm going to top this off. I think it's a 1/4 inch head space. Now, if you don't can a lot, you may want to use one of the, I guess what you call it's a head space tool. I lost mine, but I've been canning for years now, and I feel pretty comfortable. But they do have a little tool that you can measure to see how much head space. I will not put rings and tighten these down until I get all of the jars filled. And the reason is because if I have a little bit extra brine and I have room in one of the jars, then I go ahead and put that extra brine in that jar. And if I go ahead and tighten them up, it's kind of a mess trying to get everything off. And so this is just the way I've always done it. I get them pretty much done, and then I go back and finish the job before I tighten the rings down. These pickles, I can tell you, are incredible, so good. I'm going to leave a link down below for the recipe that I used. I found it online, and it's amazing, and so I'm going to leave you all a link for that if you want to try these bread and butter pickles out for yourself. So let's talk about this steam canner. It is amazing. You fill it with 2.5 quarts of water, and you wait for it to get in that green zone, but you want to do it over medium heat, not high heat. Once it gets in the green zone, you can start your timer. These go for 10 minutes. And I have to tell you, it's one of my favorite things I've ever had. So these are all done. You want to let them sit at room temperature undisturbed for 24 hours. Check for seals. Make sure that they sealed. You can take the rings off and then store them up for winter if they last that long. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed our little visit, and we will see you on the next video.